This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
These pumpkin spice muffins are great to bake in the fall. They're just sweet enough, have just enough spice, and they're just great with coffee in the morning. In a large bowl, we're going to start by adding our dry ingredients. So we're going to start with 1 2/3 cups of flour. Now for the leavening, we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Now we're going to go pretty generous with the spices, and we're going to start with a teaspoon of cinnamon. We're going to use a teaspoon of nutmeg, and if you can use fresh nutmeg, it gives so much more flavor. So I'm just using my little mill, and I'm going to measure out 1 teaspoon. And then 1 teaspoon of ground cloves. Now at this point, grab one of your little whisks and mix all those spices into the flour. Now in the bowl, we now want to put in 1 1/2 cups of sugar. And it's really important that we take a moment here and also mix that in, because we've got the sugar is way denser than the flour, and we want to make sure that everything is mixed as we go. Then measure out 1 cup of pumpkin puree and go ahead and put that in your bowl. And then we're going to add 2 eggs. And make sure that you crack them into a little bowl and then put them into your ingredients bowl. You don't want to get any shell in your muffins. And then for the liquid, we're going to add 1/2 cup of oil. I'm using a canola oil. And then 1/2 cup of water. Now, I love the taste of walnuts in these muffins. So what I do is I keep my all the nuts that I use for cooking and baking in my freezer, and then that way I just take out what I need, and they're always nice and fresh. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up about 3/4 cup of walnuts. I don't want them super fine. I like the texture of a large chunk of walnut in this muffin. And then just grab a big spatula and start mixing. Now, it's really important that you get these ingredients well mixed. It's real easy when you have everything in one bowl to have a pocket of flour kind of hiding somewhere. So really take the time and get this really well mixed. Now that the batter's done, we can go ahead and get our muffin tin ready. So go ahead and line your pan with 12 liners. Then I'm going to use my big cookie scoop, and I'm going to start to divide the batter evenly into these 12 cups. Now the first thing I do is I go through and fill everybody about 3/4 full, and then that way I can go back after everybody has some and top it all off. Now when you're done, it ends up that every muffin cup is practically full to the rim with batter, so that's great. That'll really ensure that each of the muffins bakes really well through, and that they all kind of are finished cooking at the same time. Now, just for a little extra, I like to add a little cinnamon sugar sprinkle on the top. So I just have a tablespoon of sugar and a teaspoon of cinnamon. I mix it together in a little bowl, and then I just go through and sprinkle a little bit on top. Then these are ready to go in a 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes. Now when they come out, they've risen beautifully. They're nice and domed and golden brown, but you want to make sure and take a toothpick and pop it into the center of one, and if it comes out clean, then you know that they've cooked through. Now let them sit on the counter just in the pan for about 5 minutes. They'll kind of pull away a little bit from the pan, and then that makes it easier to transfer over to a cooling rack. Now these muffins are great if you eat them warm, but if you let them cool off a little bit, I find that the spice flavor comes through a lot more intensely, which is what I like. Now do you notice on the photograph that little bit of sparkle on the top? That's from our cinnamon sugar. Well, if you want to give these muffins a try, just go to our website and visit the Nothin But Muffins show notes, and I'll have the recipe there for you. And as always, if you have any questions, please send me an email. I'll see you next time.